In this video, I am going to show you the 5-in-1 design calculator that we've put together. And this is the updated version from the one that you've seen previously on our website that we've updated with a few different parameters and features that you can use that weren't there in the previous version of the calculator. So there's a lot of good information here, but in this video, I'm going to just focus on an overview of what the calculator can do for you and how you can use it to get the parameters, to get the numbers and the values that you need to design any kind of aquaponics system. We have the backyard design calculator that you can use to design and come together with a small system if you're looking to do one at home, for example. Or we have the commercial design calculator that is going to give you a lot more in-depth parameters and values that you need to design a small commercial size facility. So let's dive into it. The first thing I would like to show you is that you have these tabs underneath here on the sheet that will take you to the different calculators that we've assembled here. The first one that you see is instructions. So I would suggest that before you jump into looking at the numbers and doing some of the calculations and inputs and outputs, you want to look at the instructions and read through it. And the way you see that it's been divided in all the different calculators that have been given. So you have the design calculator for the backyard, you have the instructions, step-by-step instruction as to what you can input to get the results that you want. Again, the commercials is in a separate section here, and then you can also go down to feed and grow area calculator, the heating cost calculator. So the instructions are given in the first tab. You want to look at that and review it real quick before you jump into getting the numbers that you want in the calculator. So let's look at the backyard design calculator. The way that I've put together, the way that our team has put together this calculator is really simple. All you need to do is to put in the inputs where the green highlighted cells are. So if you are looking for the numbers that you need and you have inputs, these are inputs that any design system is going to have as its preliminary step. So for example, you need to know your bed width. How wide are you going to have your bed section? What's going to be the length of it? How many grow beds do you want to put in your system? And you can input all that information here in the green cells. Looking at the type of media, you have the ability to choose from different medias that we've put in here as a parameter, as a type that's available for you. You can choose any which one here and then adding that corresponding surface area for that media. And that information is given here on the right so that you can pick the right parameter that you need to input in this table for the inputs. You also need to know inputs such as your desired fish weight. Again, this is something that you'll determine when you're doing your design to understand or to know at what size or what weight do you want to harvest the fish, and you want to put that desired fish weight at harvest in this cell right here. The feeding rate here is given for tilapia only. We've given some feeding rates on this section here for tilapia. There are other fish species that are used in aquaponics, and if you have a feeding rate specific to that fish, it's going to work here as well. So if you add that information in here, it's not just limited to tilapia. You can add it for other fish that you might want to keep in your system. Just make sure that you have the feed per biomass corrected for that particular type of fish as well. In this case, because we're using tilapia, we're going to be using that feed per biomass. And then again, getting your fish tank size, whatever is available in the market, that is the information or that is the input that you're going to put in here. The outputs are nice and intuitively developed and divided for you so that you can pick out the numbers that you want. So in this case, you have the output for grow bed volume. You get all the water volumes that you need for your system as parameters. Then you go down and you have the fish numbers. So feed per day, the fish mass that's going to be needed, the number of 1 pound fish, or the number of fish that you desire to harvest that you're going to need in your system to get to the optimal level. Your stocking densities. Then you go down to water and fish tanks. So what kind of fish tanks are you going to need? What volume fish tanks you're going to need? The actual fish tank volume versus the standard for it, and understanding like what's going to be your parameters and ratios there. Here you have the total grow bed to tank volume and grow bed water to tank volume that you can get in this section right here. You have the biological surface area that's been given. Again, there's instructions here as to, if you look at the note here, you can tell what type of biological surface area are you looking for. And again, if you do some research, you will also find out what BSA should you have for a healthy system for your fish and for your water. And that's a number that you can get here. And depending on those numbers, you can tweak your inputs to get the desired BSA that you would like in your system. Next, let's look at the commercial design calculator. Again, it's put together in very similar way as the backyard design, but in this section, it goes a little bit more in depth as to the numbers and parameters that you get for your output. Again, you have the green cells that you can put your information in, your inputs, again, width, length, your bed length, your bed width, the number of deep water grow beds that you want, the number of media grow beds that you want. So you can, if you have 5 total beds, you can have a hybrid system where you have 4 deep water and 1 media bed. I personally recommend to have all media bed or all deep water cultures or deep water beds if you're looking at a system, because I believe a hybrid system can be a little bit more difficult to maintain and can potentially cause further issues further as you develop your system and as your system gets mature. The other information is very similar to the last one that we talked about. And once you have this information, you get all the different parameters again that you need for your system. So in this case, you also get your flow rate, which is water that you need to circulate, the rate of circulation that you're going to need. We recommend that it's going to be 1 per hour. So every hour you need to circulate the amount of water that you have in your fish tank, and the flow rate that's going to be required to achieve that. And it's also going to give you a pump size, and you can refer to the cell L27 to get the type of flow rate that you're going to need for your pump size. So this section right here, the flow rate, is probably one of the most critical sections in which you get the pump size that you're going to need and the flow rate that you're going to need to have a healthy system where the water is circulating to a point where the fish is healthy and the plants are healthy, and you get an optimal system. So for a commercial design, once you put in all this information, your inputs, you will get the outputs, the big numbers that you need in order to have a system design for optimal performance. Then you have the feed and grow area calculator. Again, very quickly, pretty much designed the same way. The greens are the inputs, and this is where you can put your tank volumes, your number of fish that you have in your system, the average weight of the fish that you have, feed per biomass, and then you can also add some information about the actual grow space, which is your rafts, in here to give you the total fish biomass in the system and the feed rate that's required at the current fish biomass for the output that you're looking for. And as you can see here in columns, it's been again divided by the tank. So in this case, we assume that we have 4 tanks, and each tank is going to have its own separate input that you can add in here to then get the outputs. And you get the amount of feed that you're going to need in pounds or kilograms for a daily performance, for a daily feed rate that you can input in your system, again, to have the optimal performance for your aquaponics system. There's also the heating cost calculator, and this is a little bit more in depth. If you are using a greenhouse, you can use this sheet to figure out what your heating cost is going to look like based on the type of fuel that you're using. I'm not going to go too much into detail in this video on this section, but we will do some videos that's going to go a little bit deeper into the workings of this sheet. And same thing with the power cost calculator. Again, very simple, very rudimentary. That it's not it's not very detailed in terms of getting your power cost, but it gives you a good idea of what your total power cost is going to be depending on the types of equipment that you're using. But the 2 main sheets that you want to look at that's going to be very useful for you is your design calculator sheets, which is your backyard design calculator, or your commercial design calculator. So I hope this video has helped you understand what the 5-in-1 design calculator can do for you. We are working on something that is a little bit more upgraded than this version, and we're going to be releasing that pretty soon, hopefully in the next quarter or so. So keep a lookout, and follow us to see when we release that upgraded version of the calculator that is going to have more things about the circulation, filtration, and other important components of the aquaponics system that you need in order to get it designed. But for now, if you have any questions or comments, please do let us know. Put your comments down below. And if you have any technical questions, you can always go to urbanspaceaquaponics.com and send us an email so that we can answer any questions you may have.